Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the very Cold Lasagna podcast, your filthy casual place for all the filthy casual take on the world of sports. I am DylanLasagna and welcome back to, the icy yet spicy podcast, episode number 126 of this filthy casual show. So I had to call a little bit of an audible here. I said I was going to be reviewing the Royal Rumble in between championship games, but I had to call a little bit of an audible here because, I didn't really have enough time to go back, watch the Royal Rumble because, it's just been a busy weekend with work, reviewing, watching these conference championship games along with the Royal Rumble. It's just been very busy. And obviously my biggest prioritization is, football. So yeah, I had to call a little bit of an audible, and in this episode, we're going to be reviewing the conference championship game, the AFC Championship Game between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Kansas City Chiefs. So for those of you expecting the WWE Royal Rumble review, you'll get that in the next episode. Guaranteed. I guarantee you that. That will be coming up shortly in this week. So yeah, this episode, we're going to be reviewing the AFC Championship game that happened right after, the NFC Championship game that I don't want to talk about anymore. I really don't. So the winner of this game was going to meet the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl. I really don't give a shit about anymore. This though was going to be a big game. This was going to be a big game between the Bengals and the Chiefs. The rematch from last year, where the Bengals found a way to come back, upset Kansas City in overtime to punch their ticket in Super Bowl 56. And that big matchup against the Rams. Hopefully, this time around, for Kansas City at least, they were looking for revenge and return to the Super Bowl since Super Bowl 54. We all know what happened there. Meanwhile, for the Bengals, they were looking to go out, get their own redemption from last year, and complete step one of that redemption, and get back to the Super Bowl after losing it last year against the Rams. So that was step one. This was their step one, beating Kansas City again on the road in the AFC Championship game in the capper of Conference Championship Sunday. Could they do it? Well, we're about to find out. So first things first, before we talk about this game more in depth, a little bit of housekeeping. As I mentioned before, I had to call a little bit of an audible here. We're talking about this AFC Championship game first, instead of the Royal Rumble. So the Royal Rumble review will be after this AFC Championship game recap. So for those of you expecting it, I do apologize. There's just a lot on my plate right now with the conference championship game reviews, the recaps, and my hectic schedule outside of this podcast. So I do apologize. I really got to catch up on the 2023 Royal Rumble. I've only watched the Men's Rumble and the main event, which, my God, I still cannot get over. I cannot get over. It was that damn good. So anyway, we're going to be reviewing that. I'm going to be reviewing that, and hopefully I got to get back on my shit on that show. So yeah, hopefully I'll be reviewing it in the coming day and week. Anyway, don't forget to watch the show, listen to the show, however you get this podcast, whether it be on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor FM, and Google Podcasts. That's where Very Cold Lasagna is available. And leave a review, rate the show on your preferred audio platform, wherever you listen to it on. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you leave a like and a comment and share it with your friends. So anyway, let's talk about this AFC Championship game that happened this past Sunday between the Bengals and the Chiefs. The 3-seeded Bengals meeting the top-seeded Chiefs. So like I said, it's a rematch from last year's AFC title game that the Bengals won in overtime, 27-24. If it had to go down the distance, Jim Nantz and Tony Romo were talking about it. If it actually had to go down the distance in overtime, it would be the new overtime rules. It would be each team got to possess the ball once, even if the first team scored a touchdown, the other team would get a chance to try and score. So, interestingly enough, these two teams were so damn good with their quarterbacks, they could even get to that point. Obviously, the biggest storyline going to this game for both of these teams were their health. Notably for Cincinnati, their offensive line. Half of it was, missing. Half of their starting offensive line is missing. Like, La'el Collins, out for the season with a torn ACL. Alex Kappa, pretty much wasn't going to be available for this game with an injury. I think it was like a knee injury for this game. Center Ted Karras was potentially not going to play this game with a apparent knee issue as well. So a lot of decisions had to be made. Jackson Carman did fine in the Bills game. And, what about the other linemen? What about the other linemen that played in the AFC title game or in the last game? What about right tackle Hakeem Adeniji or Max Sharping? They did okay. How are they going to do against the pass rush of Frank Clark and Chris Jones? Those two defensive linemen alone are much better than, whatever the Bills had. Meanwhile, for the Kansas City Chiefs, they had an injury concern of their own. One, Patrick Mahomes. He was coming to this game with a high ankle sprain. You saw him in that game against the Jacksonville Jaguars in the divisional game. He didn't have the same mobility that he did against the all-elite Jaguars in that game when he got hurt. When he came back in the second half, he couldn't put any pressure on that ankle, and he couldn't run outside the pocket. All he could do was be a pocket quarterback, but he's still able to make those plays. So he committed to playing in this game despite the risks it had. So we were going to be in for something. We're going to be in for an interesting kind of game where Mahomes was, again, going to have to be a pure pocket quarterback. So that being said, everyone, including myself, picked the Cincinnati Bengals to pick the Chiefs to win this game because, we didn't know what to expect from Patrick Mahomes in just purely in the pocket. So, yeah, I think Joe Burrow would have taken advantage of that. So, unfortunately, it didn't exactly feel that way going into this when this game started. Because when this game started, when the Bengals got the ball first, the offensive line immediately, they just immediately folded. Despite some good throws to Jamar Chase, the offensive line allowed Burrow to eat the first sack of the game. And that ended up being the first of many sacks for Joe Burrow in that game. So once the Bengals had to punt, it was time to see what Patrick Mahomes could do purely inside the pocket. Again, we've seen it before against the Jaguars in the last game. We were going to see it for a full 60 minutes. And admittedly, he actually did pretty okay. Actually more than okay. He actually did pretty good thanks to his supporting cast. Travis Kelce, Isaiah Pacheco, they were purely playing the yak game. How like the 49ers do. They take that yak game and eat it up. So they make it to the red zone. They initially had a touchdown, but it was actually ruled that Kadarius Toney didn't have complete control of the ball. Ruled incomplete. The Chiefs challenged it, actually. I don't know why they did. And then they lose the challenge, clearly, and they lose a timeout, and they got to settle for 3. But then the Bengals responded by having their offensive line falling apart again. 2 straight sacks. Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen that before. 2 straight sacks from their offensive line allowed onto Joe Burrow. And it was going to be a long-ass game. It was going to be a long-ass game, just like last year. And, when I'm thinking about it, I was just thinking, I don't know if they can do it. I don't, as first, really, as good as Joe Burrow is, and in spite of how much he overcame last year. This pass rush, I mean, it's the same one, but that offensive line is not doing so well. It is not doing as well as it did. But even if it's makeshift then and it's makeshift now, it's not doing that good as it did holding them up last year. So you get into the second quarter. The Bengals defense still having problems. Not only just getting to Mahomes, but stopping the yak game that Andy Reid was just pretty much putting out there for the world to see. But I mean, hey, you limit them to a field goal again after another touchdown that was called back, this time to a penalty. And once the Bengals get the ball back, they at least finally get to the red zone. They're within striking distance to take the lead. But unfortunately, they have to settle for 3. And then right after that, the Chiefs respond with a touchdown. Mahomes easily finds Kelsey, 13-3, Chiefs. And then the Bengals with the pressure finally eating up on them. They make the first major mistake of the game. Joe Burrow throws a heavy pressure interception because the offensive line is cratering. They're crating down. And Joe Burrow doesn't get out of the pocket. I don't know why he didn't, but beats me. So he throws a heavy pressure interception into the arms of rookie Jalen Watson. And by the way, the corners for Kansas City, you got to give them a little bit of credit here. They did pretty good in relief of the starting ones because they got hurt. But unfortunately, the Chiefs couldn't take advantage of on offense. So Burrow, yet again, unfortunately, threw another bad interception. But this time, he got bailed out by pass interference. And, kept Cincy's hopes alive of just getting to striking distance, getting to scoring territory, getting that touchdown. But they stalled. And going to halftime, it was a 13-6 halftime lead for Kansas City. And this is actually pretty... this was kind of a pretty exciting game. At least a more interesting one than, what we got earlier to see with, that game that shall not be named. So compared to last year's AFC title game, this game was a chess battle. This game was who's going to blink first. And apparently, at least from what we were seeing in the first half, the Bengals were blinking. They were shooting themselves in the foot with a lot of mistakes and their inability, yes, with a makeshift offensive line to protect Joe Burrow. But hey, at least last year, with that makeshift offensive line in the first half, they were at least giving Burrow a kind of some time to throw the damn ball. Here, they can't do it. They cannot do it. So the Chiefs, on the other hand, were able to push the field, despite Patrick Mahomes' bum ankle and him mostly staying in the pocket. And yes, when he had to run out of the pocket, he was in obvious pain, but he was still able to seamlessly make those plays to Travis Kelce, to Isaiah Pacheco, Kadarius Toney, and others. He just had to do it in other ways. So the Chiefs were easily winning the chess battle against Cincinnati. But who was going to win the war? Well, let's talk about the second half. Because, Cincinnati at least managed to get the Chiefs off the field right away to start the second half. And then, my lord, when Joe Burrow has time to throw, and when the offensive line at least holds up, they actually do a good job. The offense does a good job. Because once he gets a big yeet bomb to T. Higgins, that was actually impressive. He makes this impressive jump ball catch in double coverage, and the game is tied 13-all. But unfortunately, that's quickly erased. Mahomes retakes the lead as he somehow threaded the needle to Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who actually did pretty good in speed en route to that touchdown. Took a 20-13 lead, and then towards the end of the third quarter, the Bengals recovered a fumble because Mahomes slipped out the ball on a quick pass. So they recovered it, And then going to the fourth quarter, Cincinnati took advantage of that. Joe Burrow threw a big pass to Jamar Chase, set that up in the red zone for Samaje Perine, the backup running back, for a goal line touchdown run. 20-all. 20-all. So here we go. It was getting tight. We were getting to the big moment of the game. And, well, certainly Cincinnati got it for pretty much a lot of the wrong reasons. This is where they really fell apart in this game. Because, well, Joe Burrow, first, he threw a badly underthrown ball. It got tipped, got intercepted late in the fourth quarter. Sure, the Chiefs managed to they managed to stop since the Chiefs get a punt. But before that, the referee Ron Tolbert, I think with less than 3 minutes to go, he stops the play, or he calls the play shut down, and then on that third down play, and then he allows the Chiefs to redo the play. I'm like, huh? Wait, hold on. There was a flag for holding, right? But then you allowed the Chiefs to redo the play because the play got shut down for what? That didn't make any sense. So, I mean, I don't know if it mattered in the grand scheme of things because the Chiefs still ended up punting anyway. But it was just like, damn. Like, are these refs really did the refs just really show that they wanted Kansas City the whole time? Did they really want Kansas City to go face Philadelphia because, we want that money. We want those ratings, pal. Yeah, we don't want that San Francisco Cincinnati game. That's boring. We want the high flying power, man. We want the fly. Kansas City fly. But unfortunately for the Bengals, they couldn't take advantage of it, despite a big third down conversion to Hayden Hurst. And that was because, well, the offensive line folded yet again. They allowed Joe Burrow to take not only an intentional grounding penalty that would have been bad had the Hayden Hurst conversion failed, and they allowed Joe Burrow to eat yet another critical sack, this time by Chris Jones, and I think it was the 7th overall sack from the Chiefs. So that offensive line was really falling apart. It had not fallen apart enough. So the Chiefs used their last timeout, or their second timeout, I think, and then they get the ball back with, I think, about 41 seconds to go. So things get even worse for Cincinnati because the rookie returner, punt returner, Sky Moore, ran it off, returned it for a big return up midfield. So all Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs had to do was get a couple yards, get in Harrison Butker's field goal range to kick a game-winning field goal. So it seemed like the Bengals were fucked. And fortunately for them, at least, they seemed to have stopped them on third down. And at least for the meantime, forced them to make a big decision on first down. I think it was 8 seconds left to go. They weren't even in Harrison Butker's range yet. Was it 3 seconds or eight? I don't remember. Less than 7 seconds left to go, I think. But then, I don't know, man. Defensive end Joseph Asai, I don't know what his thought process was. He unnecessarily pushed Mahomes when he already converted the first down. He pushed him out of bounds, and then they called the flag. And not only that, he hurts himself. He hurts himself in the process. I think he got cramps or something, or he actually hurt his knee. But it was just so unnecessary. It really was unnecessary. It just reminded me of, I hate to say it, Talanoa Hufanga, what he did to Jalen Hurts in the NFC title game earlier in the day, and then now in this time of the game, with the game on the line, you do this kind of thing. There's no way to describe it. It's pure stupidity. You cost your team the game. And I know he apologized. He feels bad. It was clear He really regretted it, but you cannot do that. You cannot do that in that kind of situation. It's like maybe the momentum was like forcing you, but you gotta have that kind of situational awareness to not push him out of bounds when he's already out of bounds. Does that make sense? You cannot push him when he's already out of bounds. That's a big no-no. You know what that equals? Flag. Yellow flag. Yellow hacky sack. That means the Chiefs were already going to be well into Harrison Butker's range with, I think, like 6 seconds left to go. No, 8 seconds left to go, or 5 seconds. I'm losing track of the time here. With at least a good amount of seconds for Harrison Butker to easily make the Super Bowl ticketing field goal. And after some failed laterals by the Bengals, the Chiefs would seal their spot in the Super Bowl against, of course, the Philadelphia Eagles in Arizona. And the Chiefs avenged their loss to the Bengals last year, 23-20. So there you have it, folks. The Super Bowl is set. The Eagles are going to face the Chiefs just like, well, the NFL asked for. I mean, as much as a good game this really was, and slightly more than last year, because just of how these two teams went back and forth and how tense it really was. I say the officiating in it kind of ruined the ending. Yeah, it did, because like the third down thing was, I don't know why that had to happen, but then the pushing out of bounds was also justified at the same time. So I get kind of why people were upset that officiating ruined a game again to make it about themselves. But at the same time, that last call on Joseph SI was also pretty justified, because going to my next point, the Bengals had a lot of opportunities to take this game against Kansas City, but they didn't. They absolutely had plenty of opportunities, and they couldn't take advantage of it. They had the opportunity to prey on a limping, pretty much a one-legged Patrick Mahomes, and they absolutely did nothing with it. They allowed Mahomes to pretty much operate the offense as if he was Tom Brady, just younger, and the supporting cast was pretty much like went supernova on them. So it's like they didn't keep that in their thoughts, I guess. And what also hurts the Bengals in this case is that they couldn't make up for their lack of offensive line compared to last year. And man, it just proves that they really missed tackle Lyle Collins and guard Alex Kappa in this situation. And if they were there, I think the Bengals would have had a really good time protecting Joe Burrow and giving them time to go to Jamar Chase, go to T. Higgins. And yeah, I think not having Tyler Boyd either hurt them too. But the protection for Joe Burrow was key. Was key for them to beat the Chiefs in this game. And for the Chiefs, though, their defense, notably Chris Jones and the rookie corners who had to fill in for the injured starters, they stepped up. They stepped up to make some of the biggest plays of the game. And for Chris Jones, some big sacks late in the game. And the Kelsey-led supporting cast made life easy for Mahomes, getting the key first downs, the key yards after the catch. I know I say it a million times on this episode, but I mean, it's true. It is true. So overall, this was a really good game, really tight one, back and forth affair. I mean, it wasn't like, oh, let's go crazy. Let's try to make a big comeback like last year. This was a good back and forth affair. Really balanced. Yeah, the ending was kind of meh. It was kind of sus. But in the end, the Bengals had plenty of opportunities. They didn't take it. They actually shot themselves in the foot. And the Chiefs, as far as handicapped as they were, they still made the most of their opportunity. And felt like they operated as normal. So they're the ones going to the Super Bowl 23-20. And now they actually have at least a week or two to see if Mahomes can be at least 80 or 85% and hopefully he can have his mobility back against, one mobile quarterback in Jalen Hurts. But before we talk a little bit about the Super Bowl, to end this episode, let's talk about the offseason for Cincinnati briefly. Because unfortunately for the Bengals, their bid for a Super Bowl return ended in the AFC Championship. And now they got to look ahead to an important offseason. I mean, yeah, they got a shitload of money to spend this offseason, but there are some things they got to prioritize first. I think the most important thing for them is, a contract extension for Joe Burrow. He's eligible for it, and I feel like they're going to give him the wad, but how much of the wad? They also have to think about giving a contract extension for their rookie receiver, their receiver T. Higgins, who's on a rookie contract. He's in the final year of said rookie contract. So do you give both of them a big fat contract extension? No, more so Joe Burrow. Maybe give a modest contract to T. Higgins, because I feel like large ass receiver money, I don't know about that. And then you got some key free agents, notably Jesse Bates, who didn't want to play under the franchise tag with the Bengals, and you could see him walk. And if he does, I think Daxton Hill would be a good fill-in replacement for him. Linebacker Jermaine Pratt, who had some notable words for his teammate. Joseph Asai after the game. And sure, he apologized, but, I mean, you never know. Von Bell is a notable free agent, and if he goes, you're going to have to replace him. Eli Apple, their corner, who actually, I mean, he did pretty decent this year compared to last year. And then tight end Hayden Hurst. He was a big weapon in the middle of the field for the Bengals. And yeah, you might have. I think you have to reconsider. You have to consider re-signing him, because they haven't had a reliable tight end. And before Hayden Hurst came along. I mean, he's not the best tight end or one of the best in the league, but hey, he's at least a reliable option when Chase, Higgins, Boyd are all covered up. Some of their needs that they have to address in the offseason is obviously getting some depth in the offensive line, because, when Lyle Collins, Alex Kappa, Ted Karras went down, once again, just like in the 2021 season, it went to shit. That makeshift offensive line was bad. So they could use this draft, the NFL draft, to replenish the depth at the offensive line position. Maybe get another starter or two to fill in the ranks of their offensive line, and maybe hopefully get someone alongside Lyle Collins and Alex Kappa. Who knows? And then maybe a tight end if Hayden Hurst doesn't come back. If he even does, Jalen Hurts to get a backup one. So the Cincinnati Bengals have some things to take care of in the offseason, both in free agency and the draft, extending Joe Burrow. So a lot of things for the Bengals to do if they want to get back to this point and back to the Super Bowl in the 2023 season. Speaking of the Super Bowl, here we are. Here we are in the Super Bowl that, if you're a Niners fan, it's like trying to watch the two evils. The two evils. And ironically enough, I'm wearing the colors of the team that is playing. I mean, it's not out of it's not out of irony. It's also not purposely. I just happen to wear them. I mean, if you're watching the YouTube version or listening to it on audio, I'm wearing, the color of the team, the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, I just happen to be wearing it, okay? But in actuality, it's actually the color of Grove Street families. Yeah. Carl Johnson. Yeah. Grove Street. Yeah. Fuck them Eagles. Just kidding. So yeah. Yeah. Super Bowl 57. Yeah. The game, the Super Bowl that the Niners fans will be dreading. The Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. If you're a very neutral fan, obviously this is a Super Bowl that you'll either love or hate because, well, these are two teams that have been they're the top seed for a reason. They got two dynamic offenses. And for the Philadelphia Eagles, at least they have one of the more balanced teams with a really good offense. At least, well, on paper, I don't know about that NFC Championship game on Sunday. And at least defensively, they got a really good pass rush and a really good passing defense. And for the Chiefs, obviously, you can't go wrong, I guess, with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, Isaiah Pacheco, who's emerged as a really good running back for them. And then defensively, there's some concerns on their secondary, but their pass rush with Frank Clark and Chris Jones and Willie Gay, they also can be just as good if the pass rush can hit home. So obviously, Andy Reid is going to play his former team again. He's going to be coaching against his former team again. This time, when it matters most, on the biggest stage in Arizona, in Super Bowl 57. Obviously, we'll be talking more about that reluctantly when the time comes, when it's time to preview this next week. Yeah, reluctantly. But obviously, it's a big matchup. Patrick Mahomes versus Jalen Hurts. Nick Sirianni versus Andy Reid. The Kelce brothers. Jason versus Travis Kelce. Woo! Yeah. So anyway, that was the AFC Championship game for you. The Chiefs avenged their loss from last year against the Cincinnati Bengals, 23-20. What do y'all think about that AFC title game rematch? Was it good? Was it bad? Are you in any way, shape, or form excited for the Super Bowl 57? Whether you're a fan of either team, let me know in the comments or send out a message on social media at Very Cold Lasagna. However you want to start up a discussion, let me know. However you can. But anyway, this is DylanLasagna of Very Cold Lasagna, and keep that lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of sports. Thank you for tuning into another episode number 126 of this icy yet spicy podcast. And until next time, peace out.